Salvēte omnēs. In this lesson, we'll play a little more with one of the new verb forms we learned. The imperative mood is often used when giving directions. Now, the word for turn is contained in the English word genuflect. This literally means bend the knee. So in Latin, we have genu, which means knee, and flectere, which means bend. And how do we turn this into a command? Flecte, bend or turn. Do you remember how to say, the farmer walks to the forest? Agricola ad silvam ambulat. We learned this word from ad nauseam, or to the point of seasickness. So can you guess what this means? Flecte ad sinistram. Turn to the left. And this would be flecte ad dextram. Turn to the right. These words came to English with slightly different meanings, and the etymology is unclear. But if you're right-handed, you can remember them easily by thinking something like, my right hand is dexterous, but my left hand does sinister things when I try to use it. How would we say, the soldier turns to the left? Mīles ad sinistram flectit. And here's the plural form. Milites ad dextram flectunt. Say now, read the book. Librum, lege. This has the short form of I, but in Pater Noster, there was a similar word in the line, liberate us from evil. Do you remember how to command liberate? Or even the whole line? Libera. And the full line was, libera nos a malo. This word has the long version of I, and there is also an adjective, liber, which means things like free and independent. So we could actually say liber, liber, which depending on the context could mean something like independent book or unbiased book. But these words show why it's important to pronounce the vowels correctly, since they might take on a totally different meaning. The way to say go home is domum e. Can you see the connection between domus and domicile? The verb ire, on the other hand, doesn't have a connection to English and is mostly irregular. However, in the present tense, it is regular except for first person and third person plural. Here's the first person case. Domum eo. I'm going home. 2 lessons ago, we learned how to say the master praises the slave. Can you remember what it was? One of the words was similar to domus. Dominus servum laudat. And you've probably seen or heard this phrase, cum laude. It means with honors or praise. The preposition cum requires the noun to be in the ablative form. We're going to learn to say now, go with Julius, please. Cum Julio e quaeso. We saw once before that names decline in Latin, and here Julius has changed to Julio because it's a male name. Quaeso is the way to say please in Latin, but this is not another ablative form, it's a verb, meaning literally, I beg. If you know that cheese is queso in Spanish, then you can think, cheese please, queso quaeso. Let's say now, the poet and the male student go. Poēta et discipulus eunt. This was the other irregular form in the present tense. Try to change it now to the poet goes with the male student. Poēta cum discipulo it. Notice that the verb became singular, just like in English. Try, the cat walks with the farmer. Fēlis cum agricolā ambulat. The greeting Salvēte that I've been giving at the beginning of lessons is actually also an imperative form, but it's plural. The te on the end is a pluralizing suffix, and we simply add this to the normal imperative form to make it plural in all but one case. The verbs that end in ere but switch to I in second person also switch to I in the imperative plural form. For example, scribere becomes scribete. So really, to form the plural imperative, we use the to form and replace the s with te. Say now in plural form, study. Studēte. Learn. Discite. Drink wine. Vinum bibite. In the last lesson, we learned the word pater, so let's add some other familiar words to our vocabulary. Māter, filiam, amat. The mother loves her daughter. Māter is easy, and we also have the word filial in English, as in filial love, the love of a child for a parent. And if daughter is filia, guess what son is? Filius. And guess what this means? Iulius duos filios habet. Julius has 2 sons. Remember the os is the accusative male plural. Duo is the number 2 in Latin, and we'll need another number for the story. Can you figure out the meaning of this? It's the title of a famous fairy tale about animals that try to build houses. Tres parvi porci. The 3 little pigs. Porci is pretty easy to remember, no? And if you know how to count to 3 in Spanish, then you already know the word for 3 in Latin. The word parvus is a little difficult to remember, and there's no help from English because its root is only used in obscure medical terms. It might help to associate it with puny or petty, but your best bet to remember it is just to repeat the phrase, tres parvi porci. This is another word we'll need for the story, but it's also very important. The following sentence means it's a small world. Mundus parvus est. And if I mention that the final word in the next sentence is related to edifice, but is a verb, can you guess what the next sentence means? Lingua mundum aedificāt. Language builds the world. The prefix ex can be added to the verb ire to make a new word. So in the third person, it is exit, which means goes out or leaves. Even though this verb contains the prefix ex is often also used as a preposition, or when followed by a consonant, x becomes a. For example, e culina exi. Get out of the kitchen. Culina is obviously associated with culinary, but what case is this noun? Ablative. Try to read this sentence. Volo te domo mea exire. I want you to leave my house. Did you notice something weird? Domus is a feminine noun. It's actually a really weird noun because it has a mix of fourth and second declensions, as well as a locative case. But we'll encounter this word several times in tres parvi porci, so don't worry. The final word we'll need for the story is Cavēte. This means be careful or take care. Notice that it's the plural imperative. If we want to say it to one person, we say Cavé. Note also that the emphasis shifts with and without the te. Cavēte, Cavé. We're now ready for the story of tres parvi porci. The only word you might not be able to guess is stramentum, which means straw. The other new word I'm sure you'll understand. Sunt tres parvi porci, et in mundum exire volunt. Cavēte, dicit Māter, et primus porcus parvus exit. Domum aedificare valat. Agricolam videt et dicit, da mihi stramentum quaeso, et primus porcus parvus domum suum aedificāt. I'm sure you guessed that primus porcus parvus means the first little pig. That's one difficult aspect about numbers. Not only do you have to learn 1, 2, 3, and so on, but also first, second, third, etc. Fortunately, they're not so foreign in Latin. They start out primus, secundus, tertius, quartus. We'll continue the story of tres parvi porci in the next lesson. There's a PDF with an English translation as well as a downloadable audio version of each of the stories available on Patreon. There's a link in the description box below. You can also find a PDF containing all the example sentences used in the lessons with their English translations. Thanks for watching.